the sun is just starting to climb up over the treetops. And it's gonna be a beautiful day, that's plain to see.
Welcome to Bill Dance Outdoors, America's most popular and longest running TV fishing show.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.
Okay, before we get started, an explanation is in order. There's an infinite variety of weeds and grasses and pads in many lakes, far more that are in my yard or the field out behind my house that seems to have to be cut or bush hogged more than I care to talk about. I have neither the expertise nor the desire to identify each and every one of them. I can't. You know, I hear farmers talk about, well, you know, this particular weed and this particular weed and this particular, I have no idea what they're talking about. Because when it comes to fishing, I don't believe it's necessary. However, I have discovered that fishermen need only to be concerned with the fact that there are three distinct forms of aquatic growth, and all are fished somewhat differently. Emergent vegetation refers to those plants that have stems, leaves, or stalks that protrude above the water surface. Bulrushes, reeds, cattails, and so forth are classified as emergent. Submergent vegetation usually refers to those plants that are rooted to the bottom with most of their leaves and stems growing under the surface for more than an inch or so. Coontail moths, hydrilla, and milfoil are a few of the more common types that are of interest to fishermen. Floating vegetation refers to those plants that have leaves like lily pads, spatterdock, and other major parts floating on the water surface. Plants like duckweed, hyson, and so forth. Now today, I'd like for you to join me as we fish one distinct form of aquatic growth, the one we call floating. Now, in the next little while, we hope to pass along some helpful suggestions, techniques, and tips that may help you in your search for bass in, below, and around, and possibly even on top of this carpet of growth. There'll be a bass hitting me right in this area. Look at there, under the pad. Watch it get it. Ooh, that frog just fell out. All right, let's go. When bass are suspended high up under this stuff, there are several different types of lures that can be used. The plastic worm, rigged wigless, and the popular spoon. But perhaps the most popular and my most productive would be the frog. The two frogs we're using today are Bass Pro Shops Kermie Popping Frog and Bass Pro Shops Kermie Frog, and made of a durable material that floats high and is extremely weedless and has unbelievable action over open water areas also. Now take this one here. It can be used as a topwater, fishing in places no other topwaters can be fished, such as holes and opening in padded areas, in and out of treetops, logs, and even in openings behind and between cover. What you doing? There it is. There's a little rascal. Howdy. Let's go home. Toodaloo.
Bill Dance Outdoors is sponsored in part by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Rebel, catch fish anywhere. and by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
Today's Conditions Log is brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. Come experience the kind of beauty that can only be made in Tennessee. Go online today for your free Tennessee vacation guide.
Oh, look what I just caught right here on this point. Whoa. Whoa. Let that one go, boys. He's not a hog, but he's a fun fish. Look at that. He's fat too. Look at that. I'm gonna get a little brave here. Watch this. That's a good one. Wow! There it is. Isn't that a pretty one? I'm gonna lay you on that pad and see how long you stay. You're gonna cover up and watch him go. He went right through it too, didn't he? Yes, sir. These are specialty lures. And when it comes to your presentation, you need to experiment with them. There's days I've seen that when you could work this bait, if you moved it hardly at all, they wouldn't hit it. You just almost had to let it sit. And other days, they want it moving at a slow, natural pace. A frog normally doesn't do the 100-yard dash unless something's after him. A couple of presentations over cover I use is a twitch, pause, twitch, or a twitch, pause, twitch. Now keep in mind that all strikes won't be breathtaking explosions. Many will appear to be like a giant bluegill strike. Now anytime you're fishing, it's smart to always be observant, but especially when you're fishing vegetation. Now bass are here, but not everywhere. You want to look and listen carefully for feeding fish. Watch out for bait fish movement. These are good signs. Another indication that an area like this is alive and active is by being aware of bird traffic, such as heron, cranes, kingfishers feeding on bait fish, and small birds like red-winged blackbirds that feed on insects, worms, and small freshwater shrimp. Normally, the older the mass of cover becomes, the more food will be present. Birds can be a key to finding some ideal locations in a padded area. I thought you was a hog when you hit that thing, boy. Easy. Those hooks just pop out just as nice as you please. See that dude?
Today's show is brought to you in part by Quantum Rods and Reels, Quantum Performance Tune, Mystic Lubricants, Lubrication Domination, and Tracker Boats, Fish the Finest. Today's show is sponsored in part by Berkeley, Catch More Fish. Bill Dance exclusive rods by Quantum. And by Garmin. Bite your fish, not your fish finder.
Today's equipment log is brought to you in part by Gamakatsu, because the fish of a lifetime only comes once in a lifetime.
A little point right there. That one is, there's a good one right there. Had one of these little outcroppings like that. Pretty thing. Hang on for me. Where have you got it? There it is. Come on, Buster. A minute ago, we mentioned where congregations of bass gravitate to. Okay, now let's look at another key feature in an area of pads that hold bass. Now I realize you're not going to find all these features in one area. All I'm doing here is to show you high percentage areas of spots. Now at position 1 is the backside of a point that often is used by cruising bass. Fish moving up and down the cover line from one spot to another. This area is usually not as good as the others shown, but it should not be overlooked. Here at position 2, this is a fringe area. It's not exposed. Often bass can be caught along the submerged fringes better than invisible cover, especially during low light conditions. Work from the exposed cover out and create a slow erratic action and work over the fringes, a hole or depression in the pads, right there at position 3. Now, position your boat in the best possible spot to fish this area. It could be a little difficult to get a hook fish out of this. So if you can work your way in, this way you won't disturb the area as much, and your chances of landing the fish is much better. Over here at position 4, it shows cover in cover. Objects such as logs, treetops, pilings, stumps, and so forth in a grass bed are super spots to catch a really big bass. Now at position 5 is where a ditch, a small branch, or a creek runs through this grove. This is another prime area. Fish both sides, and if you can get your boat up into it, follow it and work the edges on down the current side. At position 7, it's another backside point, similar to position 2. But this one should be better because it's closer to the feeder creek. Good one right there. I believe this is a good one right here. Tug it, boy, tug it. I'm stripping line. Tree. That's a nice one. Pop. He liked that, didn't he? Yes, she did. Get that rod out of the way. That's a good, pretty fish. Look at the coloration on that. Olive green, gold. Okay, let's go bye-bye. Woo! Boy, I'd love to see them do that. Blow a frog up.
The Bill Dance question and answer of the week is brought to you by Bill Dance Exclusive Rods by Quantum. Whether you're fishing for panfish, bass, catfish, or light saltwater, we have an action for you. Available at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.
Bill, how much time do you spend on buying a new lure? Well, I really think a lot of expensive baits are overrated. A bass strikes whatever's available that appears to them to be forage, whether it costs $4 or $18. Like I've said before, we spend way too much time thinking about buying baits than bass do worrying about striking them. Bass are predators, not bankers. They'll never be concerned with the cost of a lure.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Millennium Marine, a new class of comfort. And by Garmin Force Trolling Motors, fish with force. Closed captioning provided by PowerPole, the original shallow water anchor.
Today's product tip is brought to you by Garmin and their GPS Map Series chart plotter sonar combos. With advanced sonar technology like Chirp and exclusive Panoptix all-seeing sonar, you'll spend less time finding your fish.
Millennium Shade Tree Umbrella Holder will hold your shade tree umbrella shaft precisely where you need it, whether you're fishing from your own pedestal seat or Millennium's double seat sidekick. Constructed of heavy-duty anodized aluminum, swivels 360 degrees for maximum protection and locks into place for quick telescopic adjustments. This device will hold the umbrella perfectly while you hold the fish, of course. Millennium Shade Tree Umbrella Holder. You're gonna love it.
Come be a part of Bill Dance Digital. Join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow us.
This bait sometimes will hit on its back, sometimes it'll slide across the back, but it's counterbalanced. It's got a weight right here on the back, but when it hits the water, it hits like that, it'll slide that way across those pads, but just as soon as it hits, it'll turn right up, belly up, because it's got a weight right here. So it may come across the water like that across the pads, but just as soon as it hits the water, it'll turn right over. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, we're at position 9. Here we have a feeder creek that runs through the pads and then drops off into the main channel. This is a prime location. Bass moving up and down the channel edge and moving out to the channel. And bass moving through the pads to the creek will normally congregate here in big numbers. It should be fished many times during the day simply because migrations of shad minnows move in and out of these key locations. At position 11, a lane through the cover, cut by outboard motor props, is another key spot that could hold a fish or two. At position 12 is a down current point that could hold a few bass, moving up current to the pad field. Position 13 is a wider pocket with a point on each side. At position 14, this is the deepest water close to the pad area. Often, a school of bass will move off the pads and out over the channel to feed. Watch for them to give their position away by chasing shad to the surface. Sometimes a single shad can give the whole school away, so be very observant. You know, we started out today using this Kermie frog, but we found the fish they wanted a bait that had a more racket. So we switched off, we were just experimenting, we switched off to the popping frog, and that seemed to do better. We started catching more fish on this frog than we did this frog. And I remember a time several years ago in Florida, we tried this frog. We started out with this frog and fished it. After several hours, I said, I'm gonna try something different. I picked this frog up, and it's got a much quieter approach to it. Look at that one. Oh boy. Ooh, look at that jump. I cannot believe that size fish hit that frog as light as he hit it. Oh, what a fish. He's hooked better than I thought he was. There he is. Goodness, get him out of there. Looks like you need to eat a few frogs. Boy, when they get it, they get it. Ta-da! Poor bass. Looks like he needs to eat long and slinky. See you, boy. Well, you know, time really doesn't allow for us to discuss all there is to know about fishing this upper type of cover. But maybe we've given you enough information to get you started. Tell you what, grab yourself a few of these Kermie frogs and watch what happens. You're gonna be more successful before a frog can say ribbit 3 times. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching Bill Dance Outdoors. Join us here again next week.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.